What's going on, guys? My name is Christopher and welcome to It's Complicated, the show where I talk about and showcase wristwatches. So if you love watches like I do, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button, then click on the bell, and you'll be all set. Today, I'm going to be showcasing a Rolex Submariner reference number 116618. You heard me correctly, the solid 18 karat gold Rolex Submariner. Here we go. All right, guys, check it out. This is the Rolex Submariner reference number 116618. That's right, the Rolex Submariner made entirely of 18 karat gold. Before we get too into this, I want to let you guys know that this watch was provided by watchchest.com. Make sure to check those guys out as they help me out a lot with the show. Now, this watch was provided with the green Rolex hang tag, the Rolex Submariner instruction booklet. However, it is in Chinese, so not a whole lot we can do to read this. At least I can't read it. And it was also provided with the Rolex paper. The papers is the card there, and on the back you have the service guarantee papers. Let's get these out of the way for now and get to this beautiful watch. Now, I've said this before, but what can you really say about the Rolex Submariner? It is so iconic. The Rolex Submariner was introduced in 1954 and is one of the most iconic wristwatches of all time. Now, the price on this bad boy, MSRP on a 116618 is $34,250 US. Now, you can negotiate the price of solid gold Rolexes at your local AD, but don't expect to get much more than a couple of $1,000s off. Even pre-owned, these watches sell for right around $30,000. Now, this is a 40 millimeter case. A lot of people would say this is the perfect watch size. This watch is using Rolex's in-house 31-35 caliber movement. This movement is accurate between -2 and +2 seconds a day, which is a little more accurate than the older 31-35s, which I believe were accurate to -3 or +6 a day. This watch, of course, is automatic and has a 48-hour power reserve, where the older 31-35s had a 40-hour power reserve. Now, I'm not going to have this watch long enough to really do any time measurements, but being a Rolex, being that 31-35, and owning a Submariner with an older 31-35, I can guarantee this watch keeps incredible time. One thing you're going to notice when you're handling a precious metal watch such as this, especially a gold watch, is how heavy it is. Now, here's a picture of my Rolex Submariner date, and it weighs 134.6 grams. Now, have a look at the 116618. Look how much more this watch weighs. It is almost 222 grams. Really almost 100 grams more than the Rolex Submariner date. So when you're handling a watch like this, you really feel the difference in weight compared to a stainless steel watch. Now, water resistance, it says right on the dial, this watch is water resistant to 1,000 feet or 300 meters. Now let's have a look at the case here. That case is just incredible. And I love the color of that gold as well. While I'm gushing over the gold right now, I just love their yellow gold color. 18 karat gold usually is made with a little more copper than something like 14 karat or 10 karat. And it just has a brilliant color to it. Another thing interesting about this watch being made of 18 karat gold is that Rolex has their own gold foundry. So this is actually in-house 18 karat gold. Just such a rich color. It really is something else. Let's check out the bezel. This bezel is a unidirectional rotating bezel, meaning it only turns one way. And it's made that way so if you were actually diving with this watch, you couldn't give yourself more time underwater. Now, this being a 116618, of course, this is a ceramic bezel. Rolex claims these bezels take 40 hours to produce, and that's pretty incredible. And the bezel being ceramic, or Cerachrom, as I think Rolex calls it, is extremely scratch resistant. The older Submariners used aluminum for the insert, and that was pretty easy to scratch. The only negative about ceramic is that it can shatter if you hit it hard enough. But something tells me if you're dropping $30,000 on a watch, you're not going to be extremely rough with it. And I really doubt you're going to try to use this to hammer a nail in or anything like that. And of course, there's that lume pip there at 12 o'clock as well on the bezel insert. Let's talk about the crystal quickly here. The crystal is made of sapphire. It's extremely scratch resistant. The only thing that can scratch a sapphire is diamond. So unless you're around diamonds all the time, the crystal is going to look just as nice as it does now, pretty much forever. Let's look at that crown. It is a screw-in crown, of course, and it is made of solid 18 karat gold as well. Has that Rolex logo on it with 3 little pips, that bottom pip being a little bigger than the ones on the left and the right. Let's check out the dial and the hands. You know, at this point, you could just call the hands classic Submariner hands with that quote-unquote Mercedes hour hand and the second hand with the lume pip right under where the hour markers are on the dial. The dial, of course, has the Rolex logo, says Oyster Perpetual Date. Now, I've heard people ask, what does Oyster Perpetual mean? And it's not that hard to explain. Oyster is drawing attention to the case, that it's water resistant. Perpetual is drawing attention to the movement being automatic. So Oyster Perpetual isn't really one thing, it's 2 separate things, if that makes any sense. This particular watch is Oyster Perpetual Date, meaning it's a water resistant case with an automatic movement and has a date feature. I can't really remember who asked that or what was going on, but hey, there you go. Now, the bottom of the dial says Submariner 1,000 feet or 300 meter, superlative chronometer, officially certified. You know, another thing I love about these more modern Rolexes is that inner engraving on the rehaut in there. I mean, just that Rolex, Rolex, Rolex all around, and the serial numbers actually at the bottom. Now, if there's one thing some of you guys love, it's lume. Here's a great shot of the lume on this watch. Just a really bright and vivid blue. Rolex is using something called chromalite for the lume on this watch, which I believe is also made by them. Now, let's check out the bracelet on this watch. Just look at the shine on that. So brilliant. You know, the bracelet on this is called an oyster bracelet. The center links are solid. And I mention that because the pre-ceramic Submariner had hollow center links. You'll also notice the center links on this watch are polished. But man, talk about weight. This watch is so heavy. I still can't believe it. Just have a closer look at this bracelet though. I mean, not only is it totally gorgeous, it's just absolutely perfect. This being a newer Submariner, the end links, of course, are solid. Let's have a look at this clasp. Now, this being a 116618, this has that glide lock clasp. It's very nice looking, just beautifully machined. That center part is polished real nice. Now, I said it was a glide lock, and let me explain to you what exactly that is. The glide lock clasp allows you to make a quick size adjustment, which is really helpful if you're out and about and your arm gets a little sweaty and you don't want the watch sticking to your arm, etc. Now, check this out. If you want to give yourself a little more room on your arm, boom, this pops out, this slides, boom, back to normal. That easy to give yourself a little more room. And of course, it's just as easy to give yourself less room if you want to re-tighten the bracelet up. Just a brilliant design. And here's a shot of the 116618 on my wrist. Nice little wrist roll for you there. And it just looks great. And really, just look at that watch. How amazing is that? And that's the showcase, ladies and gentlemen. What an absolutely incredible timepiece that is. You know, you take something as iconic and classic as a Rolex Submariner and then make it out of in-house founded solid 18 karat yellow gold. And how could you really go wrong? So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you prefer the yellow gold? Would you rather see that in rose gold? Would you rather see that with the blue dial? If you were going to wear a precious metal watch, maybe you'd rather it be a Rolex day date. Let me know what you think. And that wraps up another episode of It's Complicated. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, like this video, share it with all your friends, and I'll see you next time on another episode of It's Complicated.